My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Rimworld for the start of a brand new series based around the Call of Cthulu, and a few other mods I think will go hand in hand with the Call of Cthulhu mod to make this a very interesting playthrough. The other primary mod that we're going to be focusing on in this series is the Rimworld of Magic mod, which, if you're not aware, it does enable magicians and mana, and you can learn spells and all sorts, and that should be quite interesting to have a look at. Obviously, the primary focus is going to be the Call of Cthulhu mod and the various associated mods that go along with that, including a new storyteller, H.P. Lovecraft. So let's go ahead and get started with a brand new colony. I have prepared a new scenario for this. Here it is now, the Outer Gods. Just take a moment to read this here. A survey team in the wilderness of a cold, distant planet, all was going as expected during the year-long mission, until you happened to stumble upon an ancient forsaken ruin. Venturing inside the dark, forbidding structure, you stumbled across a large ancient book, backed in hard leather. Inside was nothing but strange symbols that none of you could translate. However, as you all tried one by one to decipher the ominous-looking text, your minds began filling with unimaginable and unspeakable horrors. You all felt as though you could hear a strange disembodied voice chanting in the still air. What happened next was a mystery. You all awoke, stranded in the wilderness, with nothing but the clothes that you wore and a simple sidearm. However, you all now shared a common, twisted resolve. So yes, that's the basically the backstory or the filler text for this scenario and this playthrough. So yeah, part of a scientific survey team. There were 3 of us, as you can see there. Starts with 3 people. And obviously, as it says there, stumbled upon an old crypt, ruin, temple, whatever you want to call it. Found a rather ominous book, started to read it, and it's obviously twisted and warped our colonists' minds so that they now want to worship the unknowable, twisted, unimaginable horrors that are rife within the Lovecraftian universe. So yes, as we can see, we are starting as the new arrival faction rather than tribal this time around. Obviously, you wouldn't have tribal members in a scientific survey team, so having the new arrivals just fits in with the story that we're going for. And we're going to be between 28 and 41 years old, and there will be 3 of us. And as we can see, we start with an automatic pistol as well. So let's jump on now to the world selection screen. Or, even better, let's first choose an AI storyteller. As I said, we've got H.P. Lovecraft available for this one. Obviously, we want the reload at any time mode, learn to read. And in terms of what difficulty we're going for, I think I'm not going to go straight for losing is fun, because I would like to be able to dig into some of the new mechanics added by the mods that we're exploring. So we're going to go for something in the middle, so there's still going to be a challenge, but it's not going to be over-dominant so that we can't focus on what we want to focus on. So we're going to go for Strive to Survive. If, of course, this proves to be too easy and straightforward, we can always bump it up mid-game if we want to. But I think this will allow us a nice balance between threats to our survival while also having the freedom to explore the various mods that we are now running with. So now we can go to our world creation screen. The seed for this planet is going to be Dunwich, obviously a nod to the Lovecraftian world there. And what we're also going to do is drop the temperature down by 2 steps to the low side. The factions we can see here listed on the right. We do have 3 new factions added in by the Lovecraftian mods. We have the Agency, which are a group dedicated to fighting against the forces of evil, I suppose, the cosmic horrors and that sort of thing. We have a Lost Platoon, which is a military unit that are just stranded here. I don't know what that's about. I don't really know my Lovecraft lore, if you will, so perhaps somebody can explain that one to me, what their beef is, what their story is. And we also have the coastal fishing towns, and obviously that's meant to represent the towns such as Innsmouth and the like that feature heavily in the Lovecraftian world. All the vanilla factions are here, but we do have 1 extra added by the Rimworld of Magic, the Arcane Fold, and these obviously a faction full of magically gifted, magically talented individuals, so they're going to represent that aspect. Not sure if they're hostile, neutral, or friendly, but we shall find out. I'm going to guess they will be just neutral, and the game will adapt depending how we interact with them. Given that we're wanting to start a cult of the old gods, I imagine the agency will be one of our biggest enemies along the way, because they're here to combat that sort of thing. If you've ever played Skyrim, the first analogy that came to my mind was these would be similar to the vigilance of Stendar, if you will, who hunt down and destroy abominations and the likes. So let's generate the world, and then we'll be able to pick our starting location for this series. Okay, so here is our planet. As we can see, because we've dropped the temperature down 2 steps to the cold side of things, there's a distinct lack of deserts, and even around the equator, we're limited to boreal forests and tundras. So yes, this is obviously a cold, frozen planet. There are a few temperate forests dotted around, as we can see, but primarily we are dealing with cold biomes. We do have a small desert here, sandy Pabinora. Flamingo Finger Mountains, that's brilliant. Anyway, we're going to use the prepare landing mod, and I think this time we're going to go for a tundra biome. We want to go for mountainous. I do like mountains. In fact, yes, I think we will have a coastal tile this time around. Obviously, in the Lovecraftian universe, water does play a big thing. It's a big part player. So being near the coast would tie in with that quite nicely. For our stone types, we definitely want granite, and we definitely want marble, and I prefer not to have slate, and I also do not want to have caves feature on my map. So let's hit the filter tiles and see what we have available, shall we? Let's just have a look around. Purple Wombat Mountains, Big Rabbit Reach, all sounds very interesting, I'm sure. As we can see, our average temperature is a nice and cool negative, well, we'll call that negative 12, shall we? Or 10.6 degrees Fahrenheit, if that's your unit of choice. Winter temperatures range from negative 34 degrees, and in the summer we can expect highs, quote-unquote, of 10 degrees Celsius. We do have a small, slim growing period, 10 out of 60 days, so during the summer months it is possible to grow our crops naturally. However, given that we are a technologically advanced starting position, I think we'll be able to grow our crops year round anyway by using heaters, sun lamps, and that sort of thing. So the last thing to do is set up the map size. I'm going to go for the larger of the 2 medium options, and we're going to start in the springtime. That gives us time to get prepared before the depths of winter set in. However, I do imagine the start of spring is still going to be pretty bitterly cold. As we can see, in winter it gets to negative 34, so I wouldn't be surprised to see temperatures of around about minus 20 to minus 10 degrees during the spring, but we shall see. Okay, so now we can come to the ideology screen. I have prepared an ideology in advance and saved it, so if we go to customize, load saved ideology, and here we go now, the sect of Eldritch. So here's our ideology. The starting meme is the cult of the old ones, naturally. We have the 4 deities here. We have Yom Omlau, who is the bane of the universe. We have Sub-Og Vexa, scourge of our dreams. Varland Zuraf, devourer of souls. And Ogarthe, or Agarte, corrupter of all. So they're the 4 deities that our colonists now worship after finding that little nasty book that they stumbled upon. Here are our precepts. Corruption, essential. This is required by the meme Eldritch cult, as we can see, so we can't do anything with that. I have gone for torture as an acceptable practice, just because as a cult we will make inhuman sacrifice, so if we're willing to sacrifice people, I don't see why we wouldn't be willing to torture them. I've gone for the highest level of bigotry. Obviously we're going to be very hostile to outsiders, if you will, and the idea is that we want them to follow our cult and join us, and we certainly don't get along with them until they see the true way, if you will. Tainted and tattered apparel are both set to abhorrent, just to make it that little bit more challenging, so anything that is tattered or tainted will result in a -10 mood modifier. Other than that, we have cannibalism as an acceptable practice, always, just because that's a little fun to play with, and it does make it that little bit easier. Apostasy is absolutely abhorrent, of course. We should not stray from the true path. Corpses are ugly. Eating aliens is acceptable. We're neutral towards alien races. After all, why wouldn't we be? We now worship some cosmic horrors, of course. Alien slavery is acceptable. Research is conducted at a normal pace. Slavery is acceptable, indifferent to illness and to dumb labour. We have a normal reaction to the death of a colonist or family member. Skull spikes are desired, just to add to the theme and the decor, if you will. Other than that, everything else is pretty much as always, as normal. Organ use is totally acceptable, of course. Here are the two roles that come with the ideology. As we can see, these are the only two we have access to. And that is the leader, who is the Great Nameless. And as we can see there, they must be a cultist, of course. And they have two sets of required apparel. The cultist hood, of the Cthulhu style, and cultist vestments, which are tentacled. Our moral guide, or priest if you will, is the lawkeeper, and they have a shrouded cultist hood and traditional cultist vestments as their required outfits. We have 5 rituals as part of our religion. The death of any cultist member will result in the burial of Yom Omlau. Symbol burning, that takes place on the 12th of September, and that is the Unspeakable Festival, and that's where we'll burn an effigy, a pyre, or sacrificial flag. The sacrifice of a prisoner can occur at any time in the religious makeup, if you will, and that is called the Sacrifice of Eldritch. And on the 10th of December, we have to perform an animal sacrifice that is known as the Unnameable Oblation. The final one we have is an incantation, which we can do at any time, and that we need a Great Nameless to start this, and this takes place at a Chthonian logo or a ritual spot. Speaking of the Chthonian logo, here is the logo itself right now. It's obviously one of the images that we draw in the temple on the ground. It's our ideogram. Ritual seat is a pew, that's fine. Building, we have an occult carving, and here is the totem, the effigy, that will be used for the symbol burning festival, and that is the Eldritch totem. Last of all, then we come to the relics. We have 3 of these. The first one is the Insane Grimoire, which is constructed of human leather, of course. A nameless amulet. I can't remember what that's actually made of. Oh, silver, that's fine. In fact, maybe we'll change that to something a bit different. Maybe we'll go for demon scale. Ooh. And then we have a ceremonial mask, the Load Corpus, and this is made of whatever. Oh, I'm editing the name. There we go. Can we edit anything else? No, just the name. Okay, so I'm not sure what that's actually constructed from. I guess you can maybe construct it from anything, or it might be random. Nothing changed here, and this is as per usual. So let's go ahead now and jump to our colonist screen, shall we? So here we are on the colonist selection screen now. I am just going to take a few moments on the prepare carefully to make sure we have a nice blend of skills without it being too overpowered. And I'd also like the childhood and adulthood backstories to fit in with the theme we are going for. Obviously, Navy scientist, that works out for us. It does blend in. Housewife, perhaps less so. So I'm just going to start and go through all of them and just fine-tune them a little bit. So we'll be back in just a few moments, and then we'll go over our 3 colonists. Okay then, ladies and gentlemen, here we are with our 3 colonists. I've tried to keep them at least reasonably balanced. So our first colonist is Garau. I'm not sure about the pronunciation on that one. He is a musical kid and a Navy scientist. I've not adjusted the traits at all. I've left them as they were. And for his skills, not bad shooting melee. However, his primary passions are in cooking. In fact, he doesn't have a burning passion, so I will give him a burning passion in cooking. So yes, cooking, artistic, which ties in with the musical kid background, of course, and intellectual. Obviously, as a scientist, he would be quite smart, one would hope. Then we have Q, who was an academy student and then became an archaeologist. High skills in mining, crafting, and decent skill in construction. Not too bad with a ranged weapon. And then we have minor passions in social and intellectual, of course. Everything else is as standard. And her full name is Stem Quinn. Our last colonist is Isbrand Thielemans, aka Izzy to his friends, and he was a story writer who became a medical scientist. So really, I should just adjust that to reflect the fact he was a medical scientist by giving him a little bit more skill on the medical front. He also enjoys botany and a small passion for mining, which I'm actually going to remove and swap over to crafting. So he likes to tinker, so we'll drop the mining down a little bit there just to compensate, trying to keep it fairly balanced. As I said, none of these traits have been adjusted. Believe that if you will. Generally, it is the truth. I haven't changed these at all. This is what they came with. Q is incapable of cleaning, but that's fine. That's not a major concern. So I'm happy with these three. They all fit into the backstory of being scientists or, part of a survey team, a navy scientist, a medical scientist, and an archaeologist. So let's jump on now and start the game and take a look at the map we're going to be playing with. Are you finished with your customizations? I am indeed, Rimworld. Let's go. So one of the primary differences that you may notice between this playthrough and previous playthroughs, that I'm going to try and respond to events around us in a way that is befitting of our situation and our colonists and the overall story and theme that we are going for. So if we have some random visitors pop up, it's very likely that we might try and capture them so we can use them for prisoner sacrifice or offerings to the old gods, or as some sort of forced conversion. So rather than just playing or picking the best option or doing what's best overall, there are times I might make a decision that would hamstring us, but it's something that you'd imagine our colonists would do, if that makes sense. So anyway, here we are, stranded on a cold planet with no idea where you are or how you ended up here, potentially miles from your survey base. Will the voices help or hinder? Okay. So here we are now. Let's have a quick look at our map. It looks like a decent starting map. Obviously, we've got the ocean over here to the side. Fair amount of wildlife around. The muffaloes obviously piqued my interest immediately for their meats that they provide. In terms of base location, well, I'm thinking this sort of area is pretty much perfect. We have access to 2 steam geysers there, and we could quite easily wall off one side and turn this into a choke point and a kill box. We back up against sandstone. It would be better if that was granite, of course, for the increased durability of the blocks that we'd be mining out. In fact, where is the granite on this map? We don't have much of it, as we can see. Although there is some over here, and there is potentially some deeper into the mountain as well. So if we want to build our walls out of granite, we'd have to go out of our way to mine all of this out, which shouldn't be too much of a problem, let's be honest. So here's our 3 colonists now. Who was our best shot? It was Q. So Q, I want you to equip the pistol that we're starting with. Now, as part of one of the mods, we do also now have these 3 reinforced concrete ominous obelisks. And these tie in with a new feature. And if we go to the needs tab of our colonists, we'll see a new bar here, corruption. At the moment, they're all at 50%. And if we just take a moment to check the tooltip here, corruption reflects a person's desire to give into dark, eldritch, and possibly even violent desires deeply embedded within them. A mildly corrupt pawn cannot lose ideological certainty. So if you're only mildly corrupt, then you have a buffer against forced conversion from anybody else who joins. The corruption slowly fades daily, but can be paused by nearby obelisks, obviously these items here, and can be increased by incantation rituals. Obviously that's one of the rituals we saw in the ideological setup screen. Upon reaching 100 corruption, a pawn will immediately begin mentally breaking, and upon reaching 0, a pawn will easily be swayed to any other ideology. So we basically want to keep this somewhere in the middle so we won't be converted away from the true path. However, we don't want to obviously go up to 100% because then we'd have a mental breakdown, and we don't really want to be down at 0 because then we'd be susceptible to conversion away from the religion that we are setting up. So that's something new to bear in mind and play with. So then we need to get on and get some tasks organized pretty quickly. The first thing we're going to want to do is get inside this mountain to mine out our little, or what will become our initial base. There are a few trees scattered about in our starting area, however there aren't a great deal, but saying that, there might be enough to put up a rudimentary wooden shelter to serve as our little base of operations for the first few days while we're here, until we get ourselves more established. So who is our best herbalist? It would be Izzy. So what we're going to do is queue up an order to chop down some of this wood here and this wood here, just to get a little stockpile. Speaking of which, we're going to want to put down a stockpile zone, of course, and we'll have that just here for now. And then we'll go ahead with a dumping stockpile over here. Again, temporary. It will be moved as we get ourselves more established. Before we do anything else, I think it's a good idea to go through our work priority tabs here. Everybody obviously wants to be set to high priority for patient and firefighting. Doctoring, we want Izzy at number 1. She is the best doctor we have. And then Gabri, you can step in as and when you may be needed, so we'll set that to 4. Bed rest we'll set to 2. Haul plus 1. So basically if I ask for something to be hauled urgently, they will prioritise that. Basic 3, sure. Magic. So this is a new one. Magic manipulation, normal priority. We'll leave that as it is. We can change it as we dig deeper into that side of things. Our warden will be Q. Animal handler, I think it's going to be Q again. Our chef will be Gabri with Q as a backup. Our hunter is going to be Izzy. And we'll have those set to not hunt for now, just because it'll get rid of the hunter lacks ranged weapon notification. As we get some extra weapons, we can reassign that. Our builder is obviously going to be Q. Our botanist, as we said, that will be, in fact, okay, so it was Q. Did I set Q as our hunter? Do you know what? I don't think I did. No, I set Izzy. What an idiot. There we go. Izzy is our hunter. That's correct. No, Q is our hunter. Come on, get with it. Miner, it will be Q. The others can do it as a low priority because, yes, it's going to take them a while to do the mining, but at least their skills will build slowly over time. For plant growth, primarily it's going to be Izzy, with Q having a normal priority to do that as well. Smith will be Q. Our artist will be Gabri. Our crafter will be Q as well at high priority. Izzy may be down at level 4. Gabri level 2. No, we'll just leave that off for you. We'll leave these for now. And those for now. Our researcher will be both Gabri and Izzy. And we'll leave these ones for now as well. Okay. So if we now decide or choose which animals we want to hunt first of all. The ibex rams, I don't believe they have any revenge chance on harm. No, they do not. So they could be quick and easy kills without any complications. The muffaloes are obviously very appealing. However, there is a chance they will go manhunter. It's only a 10% chance, of course. However, the blue fur is something we want to look at for the cold insulation that it provides. I think these drop plain leather, if I am not mistaken. Yes. See that? No, that still does give us a decent level of cold protection. Speaking of which, it is -30. It will warm up slowly. Let's have a look at our colonists' thresholds. Pretty damn appalling, as we can see. Okay. So then, we need to get a source of heat pretty quickly. I think what we're going to do is Izzy's going to go off and start harvesting the trees. Q will go off and hunt these ibex rams. And Gabri, we will have you. In fact, you may as well start doing a bit of mining, I think. Or yes, you'll start doing a bit of mining. In fact, no, you will come down here with Q, and that way, when Q fells her first ibex ram, Gabri can haul it away to be butchered straight away, leaving Q to focus on the next hunting target. I think that's what we'll do. So let's start things up. I'm planning on using jump cuts quite a lot in this series. Obviously, the first episode, you're going to not see as many as you will in the future. And that's just to make the episodes a little bit faster, the progression a little bit faster, so it's not as slow as previous playthroughs. Anything important will obviously be included in the episodes, but for just minor things like base expansion and stuff like that, I'll probably just leave that omitted from the episodes, because we know what that's all about, if you know what I mean. Let's turn our attention to this one temporarily, since it's quite close. Okay. Can you finish that off? Okay. Q's going to do that for us. So now, Gabri, I want you to haul the ram, which you are doing. Q is going to continue the hunting. That's another one down. And that's that brought back. Where's our stockpile? There it is. So what we want to do now is put down, temporarily of course, a butcher spot. And we want to build to butcher the creature permanently. And we're just going to drop everything on the floor, so we're not wasting any time here. Once we have a bit of leather, we're going to set up a crafting spot and start getting some clothing put together, just to boost the cold protection, the insulation for our colonists. How's the wood harvesting going? I think you've finished the wood harvesting with the looks of it. Yes, you have. So what we're going to put up now is just a quick, basic, flimsy wooden structure. Nothing too extravagant, of course, with a door. And inside we want a campfire. Who's our best craftsman? It is Q. So Q, prioritize working on this. Okay, so that's everything butchered up. We only got 34 units of leather for that, as you can see, but it's better than nothing. And once we've got this this fire put up, we should be A-okay on temperature. Why is nobody Oh yes, come on Q, get the campfire up. There we go. So now we can get everybody inside to quickly warm them up, and that will help combat the hypothermia, of course. So, obviously there's not been much done on this this first episode. It was primarily getting everything set up. But I think we're going to leave the actual play here for today. I'll probably continue a little bit off camera. In fact, no, I won't, because I don't want to risk any initial raids. In my experience with Lovecraft, you do get a raid within the first couple of days, and we want to have that captured on screen, of course. So, yes, we'll leave it here, and then we'll pick it back up in this situation in episode number 2, at which point we'll start seeing a lot more jump cuts to cut out some of the more tedious aspects of Rimworld. I've just noticed we do not have a roof on this structure at all. Perhaps we should go ahead and build that roof area, shall we? There we go. So that's our little base roofed over, so our colonists now have a source of heat and warmth. As we can see, the temperature in here now is 12 degrees, which is more than comfortable for our colonists. So we're going to leave it here for today. In the next episode, we'll make us start getting some extra clothing to keep our colonists nice and warm out here in the frozen tundra. We'll start some meal preparation, some more hunting, and we'll start building our base out proper. Of course, we're going to also start digging into the Call of Cthulu side of things, as well as the Rimworld of Magic aspect of this series. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing what secrets that has and what changes we're going to see and how it's going to affect our gameplay. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you're looking forward to the rest of this series. I certainly am. It's going to be something a little bit different, of course. In the meantime, all that remains for me to say is, as always, ladies and gentlemen, take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.